Game in Corona Part 5? 4? Not sure what number this is. Part 5. We're well on our way. I am just testing to make sure everything is working, which I always do at the beginning of these. And then I've got a tweet to make sure that people know that this is happening. It would be cool if I had set this all up. I should make a program to just click it, tell everybody. I'll do that at some point. Maybe I'll stream it. Now I have to cut down my tweet to make it fit. Difficulties of social media. There we go. Well-crafted tweet. Super useful tool in any independent game developer's arsenal. You got to let people know what you're doing somehow, right? We'll let them know on the forums as well, because it seems like some people see that. There we go. Okay, cool. So today, a lot of what we're going to do is focus on text. We're going to do a lot with text, and we're going to see, it's been a while since I've messed around with text in Corona, so much of this might be experimenting with that and figuring out what you can and can't do and what their current systems allow for. So if you remember where we left off, we have our little game, we can plant stuff, it grows over a period of time, everything grows at the same period of time right now, and then when it's done, you take your shovel and you clean up the harvested stuff. You get 2 back for every 1 that you put down, and then we have the home that you go to. And again, from the past stuff, I'm going to leave what the game is as a mystery and just focus on how to make the game, and then as it comes together, you'll see all the different pieces and whatnot. And then eventually I think I'll probably go through and annotate all the videos so that it's easy to find things like specific functions or tools and stuff. I also, for instance, with this new text that we're going to be doing, I'm probably going to try to wrap that up into some kind of library that's easy to use. But let's see how far we get today with that. Also, I'm really quickly going to see if there's any simple painting program on a Mac. I usually use my PC whenever I want to do some quick programmer art. I think that we're going to want some quick programmer art. So I'm going to see if I can find a quick, simple tool that we can use.
Hey guys, Krishna here, and today I'm gonna show.
Looks like there's a few different options. You can see what I'm looking at. That's fine. Oh, giving away some secrets. I was looking at Twine. Twine is like a, if you don't know what Twine is, it's a tool for writing interactive fiction. And it's pretty cool. You end up getting these like story maps, and you can do a lot of cool stuff. And I was taking a look at Twine for Corona. Somebody made a library way back in the day, and they posted about it. This dude on the Corona Labs, but his repository doesn't exist anymore. If you go take a look at this, he's got a bunch of cool free stuff. I haven't looked at any of it. I don't know if it's any good, but I don't know. These sound like things that you need. There's somebody who's working on that. But I looked through his old commits, and there's like, you can still get access to his super old Twine stuff, but I don't know if it's any good. I'm kind of curious. I want to take a look at it, but we're probably not going to jump into that because that's probably way overkill for what we need right now. So for now, let's look at getting this super simple paintbrush app. Oh, cool. There's even source code. So I've kind of learned to hate SourceForge because they have all of this garbage advertisements and things like this that make it hard to tell. And these, like, oh look, here's our big advertising thing, and then we're just gonna throw download buttons all over the place, so you don't know what you're clicking. It's not good. But hopefully this little app is good and not something terrible that's going to destroy my machine and bring about the end of these videos. We'll find out though. Oh, unidentified developer. Oh, did it go somewhere? Did it open? Oh, yeah. There's something dumb you have to do to open these because the new Mac security doesn't allow you to open anything from an unidentified developer. Are you sure you want to open it? Oh, there we go. For right now, we are not going to make this an application that we can run. Cool. Hey, we've got a little painting app. So we'll probably use this for some base stuff. What I wanted was to make a little text box area where we're going to put in all of our text. Which actually I should think about the size. That's okay. And then we're gonna have a couple little people who are going to be talking. So we're gonna make a couple little people. And here comes like really stupid perfectionism on something that is admittedly just a means to an end. But you know, sometimes you like to take a little break and you know, do something a little different than programming. Maybe I shouldn't have done that on the stream, but I don't know. I'm encouraging you to do it as well. This is a old character. Oh, the tiniest eraser in the world. So you have no excuses. You can make your own art. You can always learn to do all those things that you don't know how to do. All right. Maybe there's paint tool. I'm not going to tell you who these characters are, but this character has a cane. Which might indicate something about the character. And this character does not have a cane. There we go. 2 people. That's right, Citizen Kane. I'm just kidding. Anyway, there's some people. Those are going to be useful. Now we're going to go save. We don't want to drop this into documents. Oh, here we go, Bulbasaur. I kind of hate when Macs hide everything. Assets. Put all your assets in your assets folder. And we'll let that be a PNG. That's great. So we're going to do a little image uploading as well. We're not going to get too fancy with it yet. Eventually, I want to go through uploading different images for different size displays and all that. But we're not going to do that just yet. Okay. So this is our home. So we can get rid of our garden. And the store is still going to come into play because it's technically not a store, and I should rename it, and I may rename it, but I'm not going to rename it just yet because I'm a little bit lazy. Right now we're going to focus on our home. And so we've got our UI. What is garden doing in here? Oh yeah, that's the button that gets you back to the garden. Okay, so now we are going to add this image that is going to be kind of our home class. Okay, so let's think about this. I want to wrap this up nicely. Now, this home is actually kind of encompassing everything. It's got your whole UI as well as this. So I'm gonna call this like living room, I think. We're gonna make a new class for that. That's where we're gonna handle all the stuff that would be like, if you've been watching it, you know that we've been considering it this is the map in the garden, and this is the UI, and then all together this is our game, which was a bad name choice on my part, but whatever. Here in our home, this is going to be home. I'm going to call this living room, this section here, and then this will continue to be our store. So we need the base class stuff. It's just helpful to copy and paste. Makes things quicker. Don't need any of this stuff yet. Don't need any of this stuff. Probably want that much. There we go. Okay. Let me change this. Sometimes I get lazy and don't want to have a million underscores and have this long file name, but that's a bad habit. You should not do that. So let's go ahead and we renamed it. Cool. Save it. We're going to go ahead and make our creation function. We should be becoming familiar now if you've been following all the videos. Okay. We're gonna make our background. Should be new image. Gotta get our file. It's gonna be in assets. Here's a pro tip. This will be really helpful if you plan on doing multi-platform development. Do not capitalize anything in any of your files. And the reason for that, except for these, of course, you have to on these icons. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. They have to be capitalized, but don't do it on any of yours because the Windows and Mac use different conventions for capitalization, and I believe it's on Mac. If you had something like this was actually capitalized, it would still work like this, and the result is that it would work on Mac, but then it wouldn't work on like Android or other devices, and then you'd be really upset and you'd have a really hard time figuring out what the heck was actually going on. So yeah, don't do that. Don't mix capitals. Here's my semicolons, which are not necessary, but are habitual. Does this have an X and a Y? No, we're just getting 0 for these guys. Let's make sure this is at the top left. Okay. Yes, and then we want to insert this into our group. And we want to save it as well. So we're going to do this. Make sure we have access to it. And clean up. So if you ever get into major programming like C++, where you have to do memory management, one of the things that I was taught is that it's not actually very difficult. Like, it's not exceptionally difficult to learn memory management and use it and handle your own memory instead of having it garbage collected, which if none of that makes sense to you, don't worry about it. You'll eventually figure it out. If you are going to move into greater development, you'll have to learn about memory management, garbage collecting, etc. But yeah, from what I've heard, the real difficulty is just getting into the habit of always removing your memory when you allocate it. So you allocate memory for something and then you remove it. And the problem people have is that they just don't do this right off the bat. They wait until later, and because they wait, they forget to do it, and they have bugs, and then they have memory leaks, and that ruins their program. So don't do that. Okay, so in our bulb home, we want to create this guy. And we need to make sure we load it. It's always good. Hey, there it is. It's not quite the right size, but we'll worry about that in a second. The other thing is, as a note, we're currently going straight to the game scene, and then we're having to swap to the home scene, and instead I just want to go straight there. You should probably often do this, speed up your process by skipping those mundane tasks. Okay, we want this to be particular size. Interesting. Thought new image, you would set that. Sorry, should not leave you out of this. I'm just looking at the API references. And actually, I wonder for the two different ones. This often happens with Corona. They have different versions. Here we go. The difference between this function, new image, is that automatically substitute higher resolution for the actual image chosen will depend on the current scale. image suffix, blah, blah, blah. Here you go. New image rec should always be used to load images. And the function, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we want to use this because eventually we are going to use this image scaling. Or at least I hope we eventually will. So we want to use this one. Image scaling will help out a ton when we're working on releasing for different devices. And the thing is, if you don't do this to start, you have to go back and alter every single instance. It'll be a huge pain and super sad, so don't do that. And storyboard. I actually don't think we're going to need the storyboard, so let's leave that out for a second. I think this is what we want for width and height. Let's see. Let's get rid of the storyboard. That we would want mainly for navigation, which we're not yet doing navigation. Interesting. Ooh. Yeah, I like this width first. Let's fix it here. Da-da. Save that. Refresh. Hey, there we go. Cool. Now we have our little system going. We're going to drop text in here and have conversations and stuff. I'm going to make it so that when you click on these characters, you have conversations. And then eventually we'll probably get like fancier and fancier. Like I'll take this block out and make it only appear when you click on characters and whatnot. But I'm not going to do that just yet. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to start by making those characters clickable and then move on to adding the text. My plan is to make a list of characters so that we can eventually go and add them or remove them really easily. We're going to make a function. Now you're going to have some slight insight into what I'm building. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I should note that I've had this game idea kicking around in my head for a very long time. And so I've got a lot of ideas about how it is, but I haven't like sat down and done, oh, why am I doing a second function? It's the whole point of writing a function is that you don't have to do it multiple times. Yeah, I've had this idea in my head for quite a long time, and so I know what I'd roughly want to do with it, but all the, you know, I'm going to focus on making it function first, and then we'll go into game design and all that stuff. But I have a feeling the problem most people have is just the basics of programming and executing and making things work the way they want it to work. Okay, so anyway, we got a name, and we got an X and a Y. Okay, so we're just going to use this, call it click rect. So we're going to draw a rectangle to represent where the character is, and that'll just be the clickable area. At the end of this, though, call this character. We're going to keep track of all that in the character. So we're going to do things like character.name equals name. character dot x dot y. Yes, we could have wrapped this all in an object and just passed an object in. That's two different ways of doing it. I like named parameters. It only becomes a problem once you have a ton of them. That's why you have things like Corona has their options like this. Perfect, we have it right here. So eventually they started to have so many different things that you could have on here, different parameters, and all different ones were optional, that eventually like just makes more sense to make an object that you pass in. But for now, these are all required, and it's not that much. So I'm going to do that. And then at the end, we want to go self.characters. Oh wait, no, we just want hash. Oh yeah, no, we want one more. I like to be consistent, but I don't know off the top of my head if I do +1 or 1+. But it really doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna keep moving along. That's one thing you should always have to keep in mind. Ooh, of course this doesn't work. You should always keep on trucking. There's a lot of things that are gonna get in the way of your game development. You should try to just ignore them and keep moving, keep working. Because eventually, yeah, you finish your whole game and then you go back and there's these several different things that you need to go fix, but then you can focus on those specific things at the time that you need to focus on them and not get bogged down by these things while you're developing. And oftentimes there's a million different ways of doing something, and if you let yourself go down the rabbit hole of trying to find out which is the best way, you may just be wasting your time, because the best way may not be immediately apparent to you, and spending all that time trying to figure that out is just going to keep you from actually making the game, the thing that you have set out to build. So it's my pro tip. Keep working. Okay, so we got our little rectangle that we're adding with the width and a height, blah blah blah. Okay, so let's try to figure out where to put this stuff. That's gonna break. Okay, I'm just gonna make some guesses, given that it's this size and she's right there. What is this size? I just forget the size of our screen. So I had talked about before that I liked using their stretch. Oh, there we go, config. This is what I want. Like their scaling, letterbox and stuff. You know, you have this width and height, and then you let them scale it. One of the big reasons I like that is that before, when I attempted to do this myself, you get into a problem where you have to wrap every time that you're gonna say that this is at like 200 or something. You have to wrap this in like scale, you know, absolute to relative or something, whatever you want to call it. But you have to scale that number, so that's super annoying. And that's why Corona built really nice tools to take care of that for you. So use the tools at your disposal. A lot of things open. It's making this hard. Okay, so yeah, this is 768. That's probably like 100. Whoop. So it's probably like 10, 100 with we'll say something like, I don't know, 200 by 300. Let's try that. 200 by 300. And then we're gonna do the same for this guy. Oh, and if I knew this off the top of my head, I would know how wide our menu system is. We're gonna not make this as much as it should be, because I want to see the block. So let's focus on making sure that we can actually see the block. Okay, what else we got here? Line 33. That's weird. Is that the right file? Living room 33. Arguments expected near equals. Let me relaunch to make sure that we have the latest. Arguments expected near equals anchor x. What am I missing? I'm wondering if I broke something ahead of this. That is cascading down. Sometimes it's good to comment, like if you're writing a lot of code, just comment it out. Make sure that you are, you know, take it piece by piece. Let's figure out what's wrong. Let's see, this should be simple, right? Can't mess up just making an object and applying values to it. Great. New rect 0, 0 with height. With height. Oh, haha. That's why. There we go. Would be a good idea to give this a color that we can actually see. I wonder if this has RGB. Alpha, so that would be cool. Yes, it's got alpha. Great. All right, cool. Not too bad. Almost there. Missed that guy, but we had intended to. That's at 500. It's probably at like 650, maybe. Is a little bit much for both of them, so we're gonna go 80, we're gonna go 90. 10 is not enough. Boost that up to 30. And this is probably 150. This is probably close to 200. And this guy, this is gonna be 250 actually. And this guy, is probably, yeah, we've got another 100, 650, 80, and he's a little taller than that. All right, let's see what that does. Ooh, real close. Okay, let's bring this back up. Extend this. Bring this one back up. Make this 65. And probably another 15 on this guy. Yeah, super close. There we go. That looks good there. sad is probably have to move these later, so you know, it's whatever. You know, the ideal thing would have been to compose this of the different pieces, which we'll probably do. But for right now, I just want to get these here so that we have something to click. Now let's put them in 0, and then we're going to add click events to them. This is going to get interesting. So what I actually want to do is add the event to the character. And so we're going to do this. Hopefully I'm doing the syntax correctly. Oh no, that's not what I want. Oh, that's right. Lua has no brackets. Yeah, and actually we can just do this. Function, character, touch character. I'm hoping this will work. Let's find out. Several things I should have done. Sometimes you don't want to skip steps. I want to make sure that's visible, because sometimes, like, if it's invisible, it's actually not there, and therefore you can't touch it. But we should be able to touch that. Okay. Oh yes, this probably has to be called touch. Alright, I know it has to be called touch, because that's how the event handler works. Yes, there we go. Okay, and then we can touch there. Touch your brother, touch your grandma. Nice. Yeah, what's happening here is we have an event listener on touch. It's attached to the object that is a character. So you have this function that it uses, and that gets triggered when you do the touch. Hold on just a second. We'll be right back. Now the cat is going to annoy us for the rest of the stream. I'm sure you'll hear her in the background telling us what she thinks of programming. Isn't that right? Okay, so we got our characters, we can touch them, and we know that they're there, so that's great. Now what I want to do is give them dialogue, which again, this is eventually going to come from some kind of file. We're probably going to load this and stuff, which is why I'm going to put it here. So let's go like this. Like I said, eventually I want something probably similar to Twine that allows you to have variables and allows you to have branching paths. We're not going to tackle that right now, or at least I don't think we are. Kind of depends on how far we get. We are simply going to have some basic talking and mess around with text, and then eventually we'll start investigating like branching dialogues and variables and all kinds of fancy stuff. But for now, I'm just going to build these simple objects for keeping track of what these characters are saying, and I'm just going to give them each a loop of things to say. So making this hash so that you can, based on their name, figure out what they're saying. But these are going to be arrays of the things that they're saying. So we're going to do that here. Okay. Remember, we're one based in Lua. Concerned grandma cares about how you're doing. She's lost her dentures. There we go. And a little more insight into what is eventually going to be, this game is going to be about. It's probably going to happen here. Revealed through the character's dialogue. And there we go. I know this is fascinating, seeing me just create content that is temporary content, but it's useful, and you always need to do that when you're making stuff. Happens all the time. Okay. So we click on them. Now we're gonna have them actually talk. Let's go take a look at that. All right. Now I'm thinking about is, are we going to need access to the actual bulb? We are going to need access to that. So there's a lot of different ways that we can handle this. Within this scope, I should be able to do this. Let's try this out. So self, in this context, when this gets called, is going to be this object that we've created. And when you do this, it gives us access into this context to that variable. And then we should be able to do this. Now this works in things like JavaScript. I don't entirely know if it works in Lua, but we're going to find out. Obviously, so you can't use self, because within this context, self is actually going to be this character. So we want the living room. And we want to call this function. Okay. Okay, got our character saying something, and then we want to verify that we are within here. So let's do this. Let's do the width and height to see if we are actually, if this is actually working. This width and height should be the width and height of our box, not our character. Yeah, there you go. Cool. So that's the width and height of this whole box, which is, if we click that guy, bam, same thing, perfect. And the reason for that is because we're going to need to access the text field. So I'm gonna make a text class that is specifically for our text. And we're gonna call this RPG text because it's gonna do that thing with RPG text. Oh, no, 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 no. Say hello to the cat, everyone. Say goodbye to the cat. Cat is not allowed on the desk. She wants desperately to help us program, but cats are bad at programming, as we all know. They get too distracted too easily. Like myself, when I'm getting distracted by a cat. Yep. Okay, so here we go. This is our RPG text class. So as I was saying, this RPG text class, the whole point of this class is going to be that it does what RPG text does. So we're gonna have our little box, and when text comes in, it's gonna start clicking along here like one character at a time until it fills up, and then it's going to have some kind of like button or something to skip. There's gonna be there's gonna be one button or one event, and if it's putting in text like one character at a time, and then you hit it with that button, it will fill the text all the way to the end, and then if you hit that button again, it'll skip to the next text. So that's why I want to make a class that specifically does all that. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to pass this an array of lines of text, and it's going to go through them one by one until it gets to the end. Just 1 second. This is turning out to be a highly distracted stream. I apologize for that. But I'll make up for it by having this really cool RPG text class that you'll get to use, and you'll love it. At least I hope so. That's the dream. Okay, so this is where we have our skip. We're going to have that skip to the end. I think that's all we need. Of course, we want our move. We're going to need our width and height for where, well, our x, y with height. Eventually, we might change this a little bit because these are, the reason I'm adding these are all things that we're going to need for the actual text box that we're going to draw. And maybe we'll do that differently, like allow the person creating it to just pass in the text box and handle, and this will just handle filling in the text into that text box, which actually might not be a bad idea because then you can use it with any kind of text box in any location. So actually I'm going to do that. See, this is the kind of thing that you should be doing programming is fix as you go. If you have a good idea of how something can be done better, unless it's something untested, unless you're worried about not being able to execute it, you should just do it. Build it the right way the first time, and then you won't have to go back and do it differently later. Can't tell you how many times I've gone through and rewritten things that I knew should have been written that way to begin with, and I could have just done them the right way the first time. Okay, so this is going to be, so it's going to be this new text, but I want to know what they call that text, because obviously I want the name to be similar. and so it's clear what we're actually looking at. Just go there, API, text, new text. Okay, new text. I really hope there's not a ton of background noise. I assume there probably is. Apologize for that. Okay, new text, It's just a text object. Text object, okay. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna call it. Okay, so we have our text object. And we're going to go ahead and clear it when it's created. Actually, we don't need to do it then. What we need to do it is here. And actually, we don't need to do that either. We're going to pull that into this. Lines of text. Da-da-da. There's our lines of text. Lines of text. Gonna be an empty array until you set it. And when you start, of course, as I was saying, we're gonna clear the text. Blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna introduce state. I use states a lot to, you know, keep track of state. Simple way to have this do different features at different times. Eventually I might get to do something cool where I'll show you making like a real state machine, but we don't need anything that complex right now. Add text. Oh, this is what I wanted, an update, because we want this to update, and like I've said before, we want the updates to happen in one single place, so this is gonna go like this. Okay. Cool. That's what we're gonna do. Oh yes, we just want to update it. So let's go ahead and add that as well. Text box. When we create this. And that, of course, means we need to include it. What did I call this? Cool. RPG tags. Okay. And we need a new text box to go into it, of course. This will be interesting because we may eventually replace this because there's native text versus this text. And I'm pretty sure I looked into that before, but you never know. Anyway, creates a text object, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Oh, that's what I want to see. I want to see if we can make it have a solid background, so then we can see its height and width and everything. But it doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's get a text options from over here, because this is really annoying. Sometimes you'll see comments like this that theoretically should be self-explanatory, but you never know. Sometimes it's helpful. So, testing. Now the question is, where is this? Oh, good. Looks like it's in line with this character, and it's almost in line with the edge of this. So X is going to be 30. It's Y. 2 times that. What is this? Its gram is Y is 75. And its height is 260. Cool. 260 plus 75 plus like 3 times that. 100. Let's try like 550. Like I said, the width is this and almost that. So what is the guy? 670 plus, oh no, width. So 770. 17, let's go 800 plus our 30. Oh wait, no, we just need the, wait, let's go. Oh no, minus our 30. So, 770. Let's try it. This looks about as tall as the grandma. Let's try that. 260. Cool. Put in our text options. I just don't know if it has a background color or not. Oh well. Oh yeah. So I want to base its location off its top left value. So we're going to set the anchor to the top left. And then we are going to go through and set the X and the Y. So we're going to take these, move them down here, and leave its original location at 0, 0. Cool, so we have that. We are going to need to insert it into our group. All inserted here, and we're gonna pass it to this guy. We're gonna save. That's probably gonna break stuff. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, that's good. Oh, let's set the fill color too, because it's on white, so it's probably not gonna show up. Okay. Let's just do red. Okay, so we're not seeing it. That's a start. It's probably because we're not calling, no, we're calling create. Alright, we'll figure that out in just a second. Let's see this. I also want to see this. That, so this will show us if it's updating to get there. Not quite there yet. So the update should work once we actually have an update. For right now, we want to just add the text. Whoa, where did I do that? Did I do it in the wrong place? I do it in the home. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Whoops. I lost there for a second. Okay, width and height. System font, blah blah blah, text options. New text with text options. Oh yes. Let's not add it to the group behind the background. Okay, cool. We've got something. That's a start. Okay, we put it a little too low. Bring it down a little bit further. Bring that out a little bit further. There we go. That's a nice place for it. Let's bump the size up so our grandma can read it. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's the start of it. Now we are going to say something. Yeah, we already have some of this rigged up, so I'm going to go ahead and just use the things that we have rigged up. Like we did here, I'm going to make a simpler function for getting the text. Get text by name. Fucking name. Cool. Okay, there we go. Now we are going to call that function. Whoop. Get text by name. And with that, we're going to do the text box. Yes, so we need to keep track of this. We'll also trigger our update function. That's fine. Make this say. That's simpler. That's roughly what we're doing. And then of course we're going to pass it our array. And now we're going to see what breaks. Nothing, which is, oh, because I have to do something to see a break. Nope, it didn't work. Okay, so let's test it out. Name. Okay, so that still works. Oh, yes. Because this is a touch thing, like with all of our touch, we just want this. Only in the beginning state, otherwise it's going to be a pain. Okay. Boom. Alright. Got problems. Oh yeah, we probably want the event. We're gonna listen to a phase of the event. Gonna need to know that. Interesting. Dot phase equals begin. We're gonna do this. See what's going wrong. Say that. Hey, began ended. That's good. And we got the grandma. Let's go here. Grandma says, goes into there. Grandma says, blah blah blah. Okay, let's check to see if this works. Actually, let's not do it there. Let's do it here. Actually, let's make sure that we're calling this function. Okay. Cool. So we are saying something. Oh, yes. That might be one. Well, I'm not quite sure what... Oh, okay. I bet I know what's going on. Oh, no, that's not good. Well, first, I want our text here. We need the text. Let's do our cleanup real quick. Just gonna clean up this. Remove it. Set it to null. Nil. In this case. Oh wait. So silly. Should be 1 because Lua is 1 based, not 0 based. Okay, so we got our text. So we actually just put that right there. Got our lines of text. We're just gonna do that. And then we're in the state of add text. Oh yeah, so it says hello, of course, great. Now, what I want to know is why this update function is not being called. This is going to be annoying if it was working, but that's okay. We can deal with that. No, it's not working. Oh, of course it's not working. Get rid of that, because we're not calling update on the living room right now. We need to go to our home scene. No, we need to go to our home class. Not open. Okay. Oh, this already has an update. Good. Now it just needs to update the living room. Great. Great. That's exactly what we want. So let's get rid of this. Okay, so now we're about ready to start putting in the text line by line. So what we're gonna do is this. We don't need to track the current characters, we just need to track the current text that we're gonna include. The reason for this is we could actually not keep track of it. But it's going to be way easier if we actually keep track of it. It's just going to be a lot of extra typing if we don't. So, what do we need to do? We're going to set our current text to that. Then on update, we're going to be in the add text state. This is also, we need to check that. And self dot text objects dot text. Get the length of that text. Curious if this length will work. It kind of depends on what their text is, but I think it will. Length of the text is less than self dot current text. Right, that should be correct. Yes. Oh wait, the length of the self dot current text. While that is happening, we are going to go self dot object text object dot text equals its current self. I think this will work. So the premise here is that what we want to do is add each time that we get this update, we want to add the next character. And how do we get the next character? Well, if we take the length of the current text and we get that character. Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. We need to make sure we can get a character from a string the way that I expect that we can. I don't want character codes. I want the character at, oh look, string.length. We might have to use that. Don't know if we can use the hash, but we'll find out. Okay, so we might have to use this substring. Starts at I. If the third argument j is not given, the substring will end at the end of the string. So we don't want that. The substring ends at and includes j. Okay, so character 7 until the end. User 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7 all the way to the end. 7 to 9. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna want is we're gonna want this string. Oh wait, whoops. We get the current text, substring, the length of what is already in that text. In the first case, it's going to be 0. The first case is going to be 0. That's important. We're going to have to add 1. And then this is going to be adding 2, because we just want to grab the next character. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Sometimes I might go quickly through something that I know. And that might not be the most efficient way to go about streaming this. So if it doesn't make sense to you, please ask. And this is what I want to do to make sure we're doing something here. Find out what these two values are. Okay, it's not saying it. So make this quick test bit here. We're going to say that when we're in this state, tell us what those values are. Okay. 8 and 5. Okay, so something's happening. Oh, of course. If we're gonna do it this way, we need to clear the text first. Because it's just like, hey, there's already 8 characters there. The text that was previously there is 8 characters long. Boom, great, perfect. That's what we want. Broken stuff. Line 22. Could have guessed. Okay, so now we can do this. And we're probably going to want to find out what this substring is to see if this works. Nope. 20. Oh, haha, this is Lua. You can't do plus. You need to do ... to append. Okay, nothing's happening. That's all right. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna try to get the substring, and let's just go like this. We're gonna go 1 and 2 just to see something's happening. Ah, see, we're not even getting anything when we go current text dot sub. So let's just do current text. Yes, it's hello. Okay, so that part works. Sub IJ. Now, this is interesting because, oh, you know what? It needs to be a colon. That is one thing that will always get you in Lua. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that's fascinating though. Looks like we don't want to add the 2 there. We just want 1. Okay, that's funny. Some interesting syntax, but all right. I actually wonder if this is like number of characters and not the end of the string, but that's not what this says. I have an easy way to test that. We're gonna go 3, 1. This shouldn't work. It should break or something, or not show anything. Like that would make sense. If we put 3, 3, we can get the 3rd character. Yep, cool. So that's just the way it works. I guess this is the start of the 1st character, and then I don't know what that 2nd number is supposed to be. Until and including 9. So if it's 1 until and including 1, I guess that makes sense. That's just a weird way that they implemented it. We don't really have to worry about that, do we? What we care about is that we get our text plus 1 and plus 1. So hopefully this works. Okay. We just got a number there. That's not what we're looking for at all. Probably need a colon. That would be good. There we go. Wow, look at that. Happened super fast. We got the whole string. Cool. Okay, great. We're on to a great track. You can click it and bam, it's there. Now, what happened is that happened every single frame. So, what we're gonna do is call this character weight. Amount of frames that we wait per character. We're gonna do 3. So we're gonna first check if we're in this state. Actually, I'm gonna split this up because eventually this might have to be broken down into individual states, and then it's nice to have just the individual state calls, and then the stuff internal to it will be separate. For instance, this character weight, you'll see in just a second. We'll have a reason. Oh, yes. So what we're going to do is this, and then we're going to... This is basically a constant. So it's a concept that's in a lot of programming languages. The idea that this is something that doesn't change. In this case, we could change it. We don't actually have constants. But it allows us to do something like this, where it equals 0. If it equals 0, we're going to do that. And then we're going to set it to the max. And that way, like, if I just put 3 down here, every time I was like, oh, the character max is, or waiting max is like too long, I have to go find it in the code. Instead, it's nice and easy right up here. these are the values, and we can do something special where we like pass these in and reuse it in different places. So it's a good idea to make constants. When you put numbers in here, like I put this, even this could be considered it. But if I had put 3 here, this is called a magic variable, where it's magic. We don't even know where it came from. We don't know why it is the number that it is. We don't even know what exactly it represents. We just know that it's being used. You shouldn't do that. It's bad programming practice. You should always name your variables something nice, and you should make all your constants, all your, like even strings and stuff that you put in places, should be made into variables so that you know what they are, what they represent. So this is super easy code. It's like, if it equals 0, set it to this stuff. Otherwise, subtract 1. So it's going to be 0. We're going to set it to the max, which is currently 3. And then on those other iterations, it's not going to be 0. So we're going to do this. Subtract 1, subtract 1, subtract 1. Then it's going to be 0 again. And we're going to do this. Should be pretty simple programming. Boom. Hello. Alright, that was a little slow, but that's okay. So this is one of those things that you can tweak. I know a lot of games have like what is the speed that you want, you know your characters to talk at. Yeah, look at that. Even like 1 is probably fine. Okay, so that's the start. Now what we want to do is interesting. Okay, so when they click say, this is what I talked about where yeah, this is the interesting part. So saying is when we want them to just say the text. This might not always have lines of text. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. We're probably going to leave that for now. What we're going to do is just say if the state I'm curious if Lua has switch statements. That's hilarious. I guess they have different versions of it. Oh, interesting. That's an Luis Enrique de Figueiredo from 1998. Cool. This is just to give you this nice switch syntax. Switch is basically, it is the equivalent of this. It is if this, else this, if, you know, and all it is like, hey, if V is A, do that. If it's B, do that. If it's C, do that. So in our case, it would be like if state is idle, else if it's add text, else if it's blah blah blah. So switch is a convenient method that just makes that easier to type, but it's not necessary. You can just do else ifs, and unless you end up like doing something like changing this variable's name, that won't really bother you at all. So we're not going to worry about it right now. We're just going to use else ifs, and if later down the road we decide that we want to try out some switch statements, then we'll go ahead and do that. Sorry, I just want to check the voice audio on the feed. Okay, cool. Then, so if it's in the idle state, actually what we're going to do is if it's got lines of text. So the idea here is that, and actually I'm going to comment to say this. So if passing the lines of text you want to say something new. And now we're going to override everything. We're going to clear the text. We're going to add text. We're going to reset all of our variables, which also means resetting our character weight. But you don't have lines of text. You're not passing that. And it's in the state of add text. Then what we want to do is, like I told you, we want to skip to the end. We just want to make it the current text. We just want to fill it in. That's great. And we'll go ahead and reset the character weight. Cool. Oh, I wanted to check something just to make sure that we're not doing something crappy here. We're going to put this here. Right now, we're just going to comment that out so I can test this. I'll explain in just a second. Okay, good. So what I wanted to do is just make sure that we didn't have, that this check was working correctly, and that once we've done all the text, we don't continue doing the text. That would be highly annoying and highly bad. But it could be easy to do. One of the problems I have switching between Lua and other languages is that the one base throws me off, and occasionally I'll do something where it's wrong, and it would get here and it would just keep running. But it wouldn't be adding text because there'd be no text left to add, so we wouldn't even notice the difference. But it would be going through and trying to do all this, which is just a bunch of added work that slows things down for no good reason. So anyway, here we go. We're going to add this text, set it to the current weight, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes. Actually, oh yes, because this is going to add this. Ah, this would be bad. This would be very bad. And here we go. So if it's 0, but it's not that, then it means that we're done. And we're going to change the state to idle again. We may change that. This may become a different state. It might become like a, you know, waiting for input. Like something that indicates it has text, but it's waiting to go on to the next line of text. I don't know yet. For right now, we're just going to put it back in the idle state. Okay, so got our idle text. We're going to go ahead and now we're in the idle state. We've not been given lines of text. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out if there's more text to be had, which is to say, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. I want a current line. Oh, gotta start at 1, remember. Lua is 1 based. So we've got our current line. And we want to make sure we set our current line to 1. Okay. It's greater than or equal is just a like extra protection. Really should just be equal. But if it equals our, or actually, let's just go less. If it's less than or equal to our lines of text length. So we've got more lines of text. Then, I want to do all this fun stuff, basically. Not gonna do that one. I'm not gonna do that one. But our current text is going to be self.currentLine. So we are going to add one. Set the text, character weight. So we're going to pull this into helper function. Because all these 4 lines are going to be the same. When we start saying something, we are going to want to set the current text to the current line. We're going to want to reset the weight. We're going to set the main text to nothing. And then we're going to want to add text. Cool. So, right there and there, we're just going to do this. Start saying. Sometimes you'll really wish you were more creative in your function naming and like more just imaginative and accurate. And unfortunately, you won't be. So you'll have dumbly named functions. Look at that. Cool. We've got it. Re-saying stuff. But that sucks because that's not what we want at all. What we want is to keep saying stuff. Ah, yes. The first time we say this, we're sending those lines of text. Subsequent times, we are annoyingly sending that whole lines of text. So, what do I want to do about that? Because I want to send you the whole lines of text. Oh, that's right. Clicking on the grandma is, of course, going to start her talking about whatever she's talking. Clicking the kid talks about, or the brother talks about whatever he wants to talk about. But to continue on here, we need a little button to keep us going. So let's go ahead and add that little guy. And while we're at it, let's get rid of our big red blocks. So we're in the living room. We're going to make this 0. And now our invisible blocks. Ah, here we go. So this is what I was worried about. They are not visible, but they are not touchable either. They're just not actually being rendered. So if we do that, now they are. So I think there's a different way to do that. Mask. I see how they had like, I think they had like invisible. .01. Ugh. Ah, here we go. Is hit testable true? Also, this is visible false. So I think they have a couple different things. So we're going to start with is visible false. Nope, that's not false. There we go. Function arguments expected. Near that. Oh, you know what? Maybe this should be this. Yes. Nope. Is visible false doesn't work. It does make it invisible. This is true. But it does not make it hit testable. So let's try this. Ah, there we go. Cool. Now we can click on them like normal people and not have big red blocks that are ugly and annoying. And we can get rid of this because we don't need to have that there. Okay, so yes. I'm gonna go ahead and allow the continue button to be passed in. I'm gonna try this out for right now. I may not like it. We'll see what happens. Oh yes, this is something I forgot about. So we're adding this click rect to these guys, and we're adding it to the character, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna have to clean this up. We're gonna wanna remove event listeners when we clean things up. But we'll do that here. So we're gonna do this. And we're gonna add an event listener. So when they click that button, we're gonna let this guy handle it. And how is it gonna handle it? Very easily. It is just going to call say with no lines of text. Oh, there's no continue button. Oh no. That's fine. We just need to add it. So we're gonna want a little display rect. And where are we adding our RPG text? There we go, up here. And this is a little new rectangle. This one is going to be visible. And actually, we're gonna make this a circle. Just because the circle button looks like a better button than a rectangle button, I think. Let's go see what it is. Okay, so we have a center, X, Y, and then a radius. Okay. New circle. Alright, what's its center going to be? So we know this is like 800 by like, this is 768. 768, and this is like 830 or something. So let's try 700, 800. Let's do that. 700, 800 with a radius of 50. Give it a diameter of 100. That might be fine. Let's find out. Also gonna make it green because I don't like red. Also, just gonna leave the circle at 0, 0, and then I'm gonna move it because that's my preference, is to always create things at 0, 0 and then move them so that you set their anchor. Actually, in this case, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna let the anchor be the center and not the top left corner, so it'll be easier with the circle. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. I'm not gonna worry too much about that. Skip button. There we go, we've got our little button. We're gonna put our little button there. Save it. Ooh, that's off the page. That's no good. Interesting. Oh, yes. Maybe because this should be 800 and this should be 700. Hey, that's kind of close, but not really. It's also much too big. So we're going to half its size, and we're going to move it back to 750. Actually, that might be fine if we just do this. Aha, perfect. Cool. Got our little button. Alright, so you put that. Hey, did you eat your vegetables? Go away. Oh, everything broke. Well, I mean, we're making good progress. Definitely. Next bit here. we are going to want to clean that up. Obviously, it moved way too fast when we clicked through those things, and then it eventually broke. So let's slow things down a little bit. Let's make sure that it only goes one at a time. So when you click, oh yes. Part of the problem is, of course, event phase equals began. I think that's what it is. I'm gonna have to go check, which is annoying. Kind of hate the phases, but it's fine. Yes, began. There you go. Okay. Cool. So we just want to do it on the begin, and then we're gonna call self.say. All right. So let's break it and find out where it broke. Oh, look at that. Our skip to the full thing works as well, which is excellent. So now let's just look at 47. What happened here? Line 47. Attempt to get length current text nil value. Okay, so our current line less than or equal to, oh, less than. Yes, because we're adding one. Like I said, I get messed up. And we're done. Boom. Totally works. Hey, I don't feel so well. I'm hungry. Hello. Hey. Look at that. Great text. RPG text. And it's actually feels like it's going too slow. So I'm going to set that to 0 and go just at normal speed. I guess that's not bad. Now, unfortunately, if we want it to go any faster, we would have to actually change the frame rate on this. Kind of surprising to me. Oh, so another thing that you could do to make it go faster is to add multiple characters at once. And we could do that by, we just have to change this down here. But I'm not sure I want to do that. Like, I could go through and show you how to do that, but it would change a bunch of things. Like, so this would become a variable, and then we'd have to worry a little bit about certain checks like this to make sure that we're, because like one of the things I don't know is if you go over the end, is it just going to get the last character, or is it going to mess up? And there's a whole bunch of checks that we'd have to do. If anybody really wants that, please let me know, and I would be happy to go and figure it out for you. But for now, we're going to leave it like this. So, hey, you can have your text. And theoretically, this text doesn't have to be this character. You know, you don't know who the character is. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything cool we want to do. We're about ready for when I want to wrap up, so don't know if there's anything else that I want to do with this RPG text. Though I kind of like it. I just like playing with it. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's a good stopping point for today. Got our two little characters, and they can talk. Can always go back to our garden and mess around. Oh, there's something. Let's do a little cleanup before we move on here. So first, we need to make sure that that little rectangle that we add there gets added to our bunch of stuff here. And let's go down here. We've got our text object. We also want to clear our continue button. And this is what I was talking about. Before we move on with this, we want to remove event listener. Let me go see what the syntax is for that. It's funny, I often find it easier just go into Google and search something and then have it pull up the exact page than it is to actually navigate to the page, which is kind of funny. What does remove listener look like? Okay, so you need to know the name and the function. Oh, so this is good. This will be interesting. Because we just made, in one of these cases, we made an inline function. So that's going to make it a little difficult. So, remove listener on this self.continue button. Oh, wait, let me see something. Oh, it's runtime. Runtime. Remove event listener. Interesting. Huh. So I'm looking at this, and you can have object add event listener. In this case, oh, this is so funny. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I know what's happening. So we want self.continue button, and now we want self there, and we want it to be touch. There we go. It is just an inversion of our add event listener, or I mean, a repeat of our add event listener, changed to remove event listener. Okay, so we get rid of that. We get rid of our text object. Now we've got, that's good. Here at this level, we want to get rid of, because we're not technically getting rid of those until we're getting rid of them here, which is our RPG text object, yes. This is why it's hard to do it like after the fact. You should always do it up front when you create the object. Save yourself a lot of trouble and hassle. And what's interesting is I have these checks, and this keeps any weirdness from happening where it might get removed twice. I'm not entirely sure. So a long time ago, I experienced issues where I would need this. For instance, like, let's say we came to this thing and there's some condition where this RPG box doesn't get created. The problem is this can paper over issues. So let's say for some reason, like something broke and this didn't get created, and we never knew that it didn't get created. We would know here when it tries to delete. But I found that this is pretty good. Oh yeah, this is what I want to say. Like, let's say it's RPG text box and you accidentally put like that. Well, this is never gonna get removed. So yeah, there's issues that can be caused by that fairly easily. Theoretically, if you were gonna make like a strong production app, you'd want to do some profiling to make sure that you're not leaking memory and stuff. Who knows? I might eventually get to that and demonstrating that, but not just yet. It is something that's one of those things. I was just reading a great article that was talking about how you don't need to. Oh, that's what it was. It was the developer, the programmer behind Super Meat Boy. And he was talking about things like choosing which platforms you're going to release on and how worthless that is, because if you're like, oh, I don't know how to get out a product on the Xbox, I might as well not do anything. That's what'll happen, and you'll just never create your game because you're afraid, like, oh, I couldn't release it on the Xbox. And it's like, no, what you need to do is just create your game, create a good game. And then, if you've done that, then you can go along the process of tackling, like, oh, does this work on X system? And do I want to go and, do I have to rewrite it for, to run on the Xbox? Which is probably fine. Like, if you have a good game, getting the capital together and the resources together to rewrite it for another system is not usually that difficult. It's not nearly as difficult as writing a good game in the first place. Oh, haha, we were already on the end of text. Hello. these scenes are kept together, but they don't have to be. So it would be really cool if you could just simulate an out of memory situation where the other scenes that are not being shown get garbage collected. But as far as I know, there's no like easy way to trigger that in Corona. So, you know, he says I'm hungry and I move over here and like things are already there and I go back and we're not saving any state or anything. This is just happening automatically. But if we were running on device, when I go to this screen, that other one could get garbage collected, and then when I go back, it would be back in the state that it started in, or say testing. So it's something to be aware of. Anyway, I think that is enough for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you get some use out of this RPG text field. Oh yes, wait a minute. Before we go, there's one thing I want to try. Since I was talking about it, I'm gonna go find this article. I bet I can find it. Oh, I wonder if he posted it on here. Yeah, this is, yep, this is it. That's right. Okay, so we're gonna take this text. Anyway, this is a good article. Go read it. How do I get started in games programming? But this is what I wanted to try. I wanted to try stress testing this in a way. It's not really stress testing, but with text fields, you always want to test how much text you can put in there. For reasons like this. Oh, that didn't do anything. What's going on? Oh, hopefully you didn't use like quotes or something in there. Breaking it. There's an apostrophe. That could screw things up. Yeah, there's a couple of apostrophes. Oh no, there we go. Haha. Yeah, so I just want to check, like, you can see how it initially fills in and then moves along to the next line. So I wasn't sure what Corona had done for this, and it looks like they're doing just fine. Now the thing is, you'll notice two things. One, it goes off the page at the bottom, and two, when it was filling in, it would actually fill in past this and then like drop to the next line. That's fine. Like if we, you know, it would take a lot of work for us to go through and really make this fancy and nice, where it would like go in and it would already know that the next word is going to be on the next line, so it would start it on the next line. That actually would take like, you know, making our own text class basically, because you know, we'd have to like jump into Corona to actually make that work. So we're gonna let it start words on this line and then move them to the next line. Totally cool. But what we don't want is, we don't want that text to appear past our bar here, because that looks ugly. We don't want it to go past here. Now, going past here, that's kind of a content issue. That just means don't put in this much text. Totally okay. But going past here just means that our text field is a little too wide. So I'm gonna go fix that real quick before we do anything else. And I have to figure out where our text box is created and how big it is. There we go. Text options. Here we go. Width. Let's cut it down by 20. Okay, that looks about right. Yeah. Nailed it. Cool. Okay. So we stress tested that. Now we'll leave that there for use later. But for now, this is how I play Pokemon. It's like, shut up, go to the next thing. I can read faster than you can fill in the text. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for participating, watching, and remember, If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and do all that stuff. Share it so that other people will see it. And then if you want, go ahead and go download all the code off of GitHub. I upload it after I finish here. So that's it. So thank you and have a great day.